Welcome to NVL Travel Documentary. Exposed inside the 10 worst slums on Earth, where survival is a privilege, not a right. Behind the glittering skyscrapers and luxury resorts lies a hidden world, where the air reeks of sewage, trash piles up like walls, and makeshift homes are built from rusted metal, rotting wood, and plastic scraps. Children run barefoot across streets soaked in waste. Families of 10 squeeze into shacks no bigger than a small bathroom, no toilets, no electricity. Some go days without food. In this documentary, we'll take you deep inside the most heartbreaking, dangerous, and shocking slums in the world. Places that will make you question how humanity still allows this to exist. Welcome to Kibera, the largest slum in Africa, and one of the most densely populated informal settlements on the planet. Official numbers say 250,000 people live here, but some local estimates go all the way up to 1 million. That's not a neighborhood, that's a city within a city, hidden behind the glitter of Nairobi's modern skyline. But once you enter Kibera, the contrast hits hard. The streets are muddy, and open sewage snakes through narrow alleys. Corrugated metal sheets form homes barely standing, often housing families of 6 or more in a space no bigger than a single room. Running water, electricity, for many, those are luxuries, not guarantees. Kibera is more than just poverty. It's a symptom, a byproduct of rapid urbanization, broken infrastructure, and deep-rooted corruption. Despite Kenya's growing economy, wealth distribution remains painfully uneven. Billions are poured into tech hubs and skyscrapers downtown, while places like Kibera are left to self-govern, forgotten by the system. Still, life goes on. In the chaos, there's resilience. Communities organize water-sharing schedules. Women run small shops from their homes. Children, like Emmanuel, carry dreams bigger than the walls that hold them. Kibera forces us to ask, how can a city grow so fast, yet leave so many behind? Number 2. Dharavi. Tucked inside the heart of Mumbai lies Dharavi, one of the most crowded places on Earth. Imagine this. Nearly 1 million people living in just a little over 2 square kilometers. That's more than 400,000 people per square kilometer. There's barely space to walk, let alone breathe. But don't be fooled by the cramped alleyways and patchwork rooftops. Dharavi isn't just a slum, it's a living, breathing economy. Here, every corner buzzes with industry. Small-scale factories run out of tin shacks, producing leather goods, recycling plastic, stitching clothes. It's estimated that Dharavi's informal economy generates over $1 billion each year, and yet, most of that wealth never reaches the hands that create it. In one of these cramped workshops, we met Asha, a 22-year-old seamstress. Her day begins before sunrise. She stitches from morning till night, not for luxury or ambition, but to feed her younger siblings and keep her aging parents under a roof. I don't want much, she says, just to give my brothers a better chance than I had. Dharavi is a paradox. On one hand, it's a symbol of poverty, lacking sanitation, proper housing, even clean water. On the other hand, it's a testament to self-reliance, grit, and human ingenuity. People here don't just survive, they hustle, innovate, and build futures with whatever little they've got. But as luxury apartments and tech parks rise around it, one has to wonder, how long can Dharavi hold on? Will it be erased in the name of development, or will its spirit finally be recognized and uplifted? Because beneath every stitch, every recycled bottle, every handmade shoe, there's a story, like Asha's, stitched with hope and held together by sheer will. Number 3. Ciudad Neza. Not long ago, Ciudad Neza was a sea of shacks on the dusty plains east of Mexico City, a place without water, without streets, without a name on the map. Today, it's a dense urban sprawl, home to more than 1 million people. But while the slums have been paved over, many of the problems remain, just wearing a new face. Walking through Neza feels like stepping into a paradox. There are schools, churches, even shopping centers, yet above it all loom walls lined with razor wire. Police trucks pass with armed officers in the back, eyes sharp, fingers near the trigger. Here, concrete replaced cardboard, but fear still lives on. Neza is one of the most dangerous suburbs in Latin America, with gang activity deeply rooted in daily life. In 2024 alone, the region recorded more than 1,200 homicides, many of them linked to drug turf wars and extortion networks. In a place built by migrants chasing hope, violence now sets the rules. We didn't film deep inside gang zones. Instead, we met Alejandro, a father of 3, working nights as a security guard. I lock the doors 3 times, not for thieves, for what comes when the streetlights go off. His biggest fear isn't being robbed, it's his children becoming numb to the sirens, the crime, the silence that follows a gunshot. Urbanization was supposed to fix poverty, but in Neza, development and danger grew up side by side. The roads came, but jobs didn't. The lights turned on, but safety never followed. Still, beneath the tension, there is resistance. Young artists paint murals of peace. Community leaders run safe spaces for kids. Life insists on moving forward, even in the shadow of fear. Ciudad Neza isn't just a place, it's a mirror, a reflection of what happens when we build cities, but forget to build futures. Number 4, Orangi Town. Orangi Town isn't just a slum. It's a city built by the people, for the people. One brick, one pipe, one solution at a time. Located on the outskirts of Karachi, it's home to over 2.5 million residents. But what makes Orangi truly remarkable isn't just its size, it's its story. Back in the 1970s and 1980s, while the government turned a blind eye to this growing maze of informal housing, the people took matters into their own hands. They built homes without architects and streets without plans, and most impressively, they engineered their own sanitation system. Yes, you heard that right. We met Saeed, a soft-spoken man in his 50s, no college degree, no title, but in the neighborhood they call him Ustad, the teacher. I learned by doing, he says, pointing to a diagram drawn on a concrete wall. The city forgot us, so we remembered each other. With nothing more than scrap metal, broken tools, and stubborn hope, Saeed helped build an underground drainage network that now serves thousands of homes. This wasn't charity, it wasn't foreign aid, it was pure grassroots engineering, and it worked. According to the Orangi Pilot Project, a citizen-led initiative, over 90% of Orangi's lanes now have self-funded sewer lines. Orangi flips the narrative. It challenges the idea that slums are places of failure. Here, they became laboratories of survival, of civic innovation. When government failed to show up, the people became the government, organizing, building, maintaining, and adapting. And yet, for all its ingenuity, Orangi still faces daily threats, poor infrastructure, limited health care, and the looming risk of violence. But the spirit of self-reliance runs deep. Orangi Town reminds us, poverty doesn't mean powerlessness. In the absence of systems, people create their own. With no blueprint, no budget, and no backup, they built something lasting. And perhaps, in a world full of broken promises, that is the most revolutionary act of all. Rocinha. High above the glittering beaches of Rio de Janeiro, nestled against the hills, sits Rocinha, Brazil's largest favela. From afar, it looks like a colorful mosaic cascading down the mountainside. But up close, it's a story of two worlds colliding and never quite touching. Just meters away lie some of the most luxurious neighborhoods in South America. gated mansions, rooftop pools, five-star hotels. But inside Rocinha, it's a different reality. Narrow alleys, cramped rooms, tangled power lines that hum like nervous whispers. Over 100,000 people live here, stacked atop one another in improvised homes, fighting for space, water, and safety. During the day, Rocinha is alive. Street vendors shout prices, kids play football barefoot in the alleys. Beats from samba and funk bounce off the walls. It's chaotic, but it's vibrant, a rhythm all its own. But when night falls, everything changes. The music fades, the shutters close. The silence isn't silence at all. It's the sound of something waiting. Because when the gangs come out, the city forgets this hill exists. Gunfire is common. Police raids are loud and sudden. In 2024, Rio saw over 2,500 violent incidents tied to drug factions, many of them right here in Rocinha. What makes it harder to process is the geography. Rocinha isn't hidden. It's not some distant slum. It's right there, across the road from privilege. A 5-minute walk takes you from private chefs to people boiling rainwater for tea. This is inequality in its rawest form, not just economic, but spatial. Next door, but a world apart. And yet, Rocinha is more than violence or poverty. It's culture, it's resilience, it's mothers walking their kids to school, it's street artists turning pain into protest, it's people who refuse to be defined by the view from the outside. Rocinha doesn't ask for pity, it asks to be seen, truly seen, not as a problem, but as a place where life, in all its complexity, continues to bloom. Number 6. Khayelitsha. Just 30 minutes from the glass towers and oceanfront cafes of downtown Cape Town lies a stark reminder of a past that never really ended. Its name is Khayelitsha, which means new home in the Xhosa language. But for many of its nearly 3 million residents, it still feels more like a place of waiting than a place of arrival. Khayelitsha was born under apartheid, a time when people of color were forcibly removed from the city and pushed to the margins. The regime may be gone, but the boundaries it drew are still. Here, tin roof shacks stretch for miles. Families often share outdoor toilets. Rolling blackouts are common. And when the rains come, they don't just bring water, they bring floods, mud, and the collapse of fragile homes. But this isn't just a story of poverty, it's a story of legacy. A legacy of systemic exclusion, where your zip code still determines your opportunity. Where investment skips over communities like this. Where promises come in election season and disappear just as fast. Still, there is pride here, community, creativity. Young entrepreneurs run barbershops powered by solar panels. Women gather at sunrise to cook meals for children in need. Activists run reading circles by candlelight because they believe change starts with knowledge. We were told apartheid's ended, one local teacher told us. But if you look at where we live, how we live, it still whispers in every broken pipe, every dark night. Khayelitsha forces us to ask, what does freedom mean, if not equality? What good is democracy if entire communities remain invisible? It's easy to look away, but Khayelitsha doesn't need charity, it needs justice, recognition, investment. Because a new home, in name only, is not enough. Number 7. Cité Soleil. In the heart of Haiti's capital, there's a place the world pretends not to see. A place where the rule of law no longer rules. This is Cité Soleil. Sun City in name, but for many who live here, light feels very far away. With an estimated 300,000 residents, Cité Soleil is one of the poorest and most dangerous urban areas in the Western Hemisphere. Streets are carved not by city planners, but by survival. Entire neighborhoods are controlled not by government, but by gangs. Every alleyway is a checkpoint, every rooftop a watchtower. Schools are shut down, hospitals are empty, and yet, somehow, life goes on. We arrived on a scorching afternoon, dust hung in the air like smoke. In one open lot, dozens of families stood silently waiting for a truck bearing the symbol of the United Nations, a shipment of rice, a few jugs of water, maybe some medicine. "This is the only help we get," said one mother holding her infant. "We wait, because there's nothing else." In the absence of a functioning state, aid has become currency. But even that comes with risk. Convoys are often looted, workers threatened, and for many, getting food means choosing between hunger and crossfire. Cité Soleil is what happens when a nation collapses inward. When poverty, political instability, and natural disasters strip away institutions, and nothing replaces them. It's not just about crime, it's about abandonment. In 2024, over 2,000 people in the Port-au-Prince area were killed due to gang violence, many of them in Cité Soleil. And yet, headlines barely flinch. Still, people endure, children still laugh, neighbors still share. There is strength here, raw and quiet. A kind of resilience that asks for no applause, only peace. But let's be clear, no one should have to live like this. When the state disappears, the people don't vanish, they suffer. Cité Soleil is not a lost cause, it's a call for accountability. Because no matter how loud the gunshots, the world should never go deaf to a cry for help. Number 8. Sadr City. Sadr City isn't just a slum, it's a scarab carved deep into the eastern side of Baghdad. Born from decades of conflict, this dense neighborhood is home to more than 2 million people. But more than that, it's a place where the echoes of war never quite go silent. What started as a planned suburb in the 1950s slowly morphed into a stronghold of resistance during the Iraq War. By the early 2000s, it became one of the most dangerous places on Earth, the front line between US forces, insurgent militias, and everyday civilians trying to survive in between. Today, peace may have returned in name, but the landscape tells another story. Cracked buildings still wear bullet holes like open wounds. Streets cave into forgotten bomb craters. Children play in empty lots that once held tanks. We met a local teenager named Mustafa, now 17. He wasn't alive during the peak of the conflict, but he's lived with the aftermath his entire life. "I don't remember the war," he says, "but I see it every morning when I walk past the burned school bus." His dreams? To become a filmmaker, to show the world that Sadr City is more than just a war zone. Every wall, every crack in the pavement is a story not just of what was lost, but of what's been endured. Sadr City reminds us that rebuilding a city means more than laying bricks. It means healing trauma, restoring dignity, creating spaces where young people like Mustafa can imagine futures untouched by conflict. But even now, government neglect and factional violence still cast long shadows. Electricity is unstable, jobs are scarce, and when tensions rise in the region, Sadr City feels it first. This isn't just an Iraqi story, it's a global one. A reminder that post-war life doesn't start when the bombs stop falling. It starts when the world begins to care about what comes next. Number 9. Tondo. Tondo. The name alone carries weight, often mentioned with words like crime, chaos, and poverty. But if you stop there, you'll miss the most powerful part of the story. Located in the heart of Manila, Tondo is one of the oldest and most densely populated districts in the Philippines. Over 600,000 people live here, packed into narrow alleys and makeshift homes, some built beside mountains of trash, others floating on polluted canals. Yes, Tondo is tough. It's seen gang wars, drug raids, and headlines that cast it as a place to fear. But when we stepped inside, we found something else entirely: community. Early one morning, we followed a group of barefoot children walking along a garbage-strewn street. They weren't begging, they were working, collecting plastic bottles and metal scraps to sell for a few pesos. It's not easy, but they do it together, laughing, racing, helping the youngest carry their load. We call it bayanihan, one local volunteer told us. It means helping each other, like family, even when we have nothing. Tondo may be poor in money, but it's rich in resilience. There are mothers running soup kitchens, teachers holding classes on staircases, youth leaders keeping kids off the streets through art and dance. Hope here doesn't come in grand promises. It grows quietly, stubbornly, like a plant breaking through concrete. This is a place where people survive not because life is easy, but because they refuse to give up on each other. Tondo reminds us that even in the harshest places, humanity shines, that beneath the noise and struggle, there are hands lifting one another, dreams being passed from one child to the next. And maybe, just maybe, the most powerful kind of hope is the one born where no one expects it to grow. Number 10. Neza-Chalco-Itza. Just beyond the edge of Mexico City's skyline lies a vast stretch of concrete and color, a place that once was nothing but dust. This is Neza-Chalco-Itza, a megacy born from the union of three massive informal settlements, Neza-Chalco-Itza, Chalco, and Iztapaluca. Today, it's home to over 4 million people, making it one of the largest urbanized slums in the world. But this place wasn't built by governments, it was built by people. In the 1950s and 60s, families fleeing poverty and overcrowding arrived here to find nothing. No roads, no schools, no power lines, just dry land and the weight of hope. They pitched tents, then built homes, taught children, and created jobs with no help from the state. What rose from the dust wasn't chaos, it was community, a do-it-yourself city. And for decades it grew, fast, messy, and unstoppable, block by block, family by family. Today, Neza-Chalco itself looks like any working-class city. There are markets, buses, hospitals, internet cafes, but look closer, and you'll see the cracks in the miracle. Air pollution here is among the worst in Mexico. Green space? Almost none. Crime is woven into daily life, from petty theft to organized violence. And yet, for many, this is still a place of pride. We met Don Alberto, who first arrived here more than 60 years ago. Back then, he says, we walked kilometers for water. Now, I sit on my porch and watch cars speed by on the freeway. He laughs softly. It's still dusty, but the dreams, they're bigger now. Neza-Chalco-Itza is the clearest proof that urbanization doesn't always come from above. Sometimes, cities rise not because of vision, but because people had no other choice. They didn't wait for permission to live, they just lived. But for all its achievements, Neza still asks a question. What happens when millions build a city and the world still calls it a slum? Because the truth is, this place isn't broken, it's unfinished and still rising. There are 10 places, 10 slums, 10 reminders that the world we live in is not equally shared. In every corner we visited, from the hills of Rio to the dusty plains of Mexico, from the alleys of Nairobi to the rubble of Baghdad, the pattern was the same, the smell of rot, no clean water, no addresses, no safety, and yet, somehow, there was still joy. A child kicking a plastic ball through trash, a mother laughing beside an open fire, a teenager sketching futures on a cracked wall. These places are not just slums, they are living, breathing testimonies of resilience. But they also ask hard questions. The world is developing, yes, but developing for whom? Who decides who gets the glass towers and who gets the gutters? To travel here is not to judge, it's to witness, to feel, to listen. Because if you really look, not with a tourist's lens, but with a human heart, you'll see that even in the darkest corners, dreams still burn. Maybe small, maybe quiet, but burning all the same. And if this story moved you, if it opened your eyes just a little wider, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and help us bring more hidden stories to light. Because some places deserve more than silence. They deserve to be seen.